So, welcome viewers to our next episode of Gender Diversity in an Altered World with a special focus on beating all odds. Today, we have a special guest who's joining us from Dubai. She has been a flight test engineer, she's been a commercial pilot, and now currently she's handling a project manager role with Emirates. Please join me in welcoming Harita Mundal. Uh, Hi, Harita. Really nice to have you on the show today.
Thank you, Dr. Karthik, for this opportunity and really nice to be speaking in this interview for
It's
this cause.
absolutely our pleasure. Harita, very interesting, right? So, flight test engineer, commercial pilot. So, what was your journey towards becoming a test engineer and pilot in the first place?
I think if we want to understand the journey, we'll have to go back about 27, 28 years. When I was like a little girl, who didn't know anything about airplanes, but I was always very fascinated by this flying object in the sky, and every time I would look up at an airplane that would fly, I would tell my father, I want to become a pilot when I grew up. And I guess that's where the entire interest in aviation started. And for me as a little girl, being in aviation was being a pilot. I didn't know anything beyond that, and I would say I think I've been blessed in the sense that my parents never pre-decided or
Mm.
pre-chose a career for me. So when I told my parents that I want to be a pilot at a young age, they absolutely supported the idea. And they never had this preconceived notion that, oh, but what if she enters a completely male dominated field where only mostly men excel. And but there's one thing I remember my parents always told me was, whatever path you choose in your life, do it out of passion, do it from your heart and with full intent, regardless of what the job is, what the role is, and we will support you to the end. And I think that's somehow where, I got that strength and the confidence to keep going, with this dream of mine and this desire of mine. And again, I come from a background where I didn't have anyone around me, either friends or family, in aviation industry. So I would say it was like a blessing in disguise because I sort of created my own journey in this field. And where I am today is all, I would say, of course, the strength that my parents portrayed, and my friends, they believed in me. But at the same time, it's a journey that I created, where even the good was mine, even the bad or things that didn't work out, the failure was mine too. So I learned to embrace the failure and just keep walking this path, as and when it came. Now, sorry, going back to the story of, how I got to flying and flight testing and all. So, of course, I started learning how to fly. And while I was doing that, I met a lot of industry professionals. I also took up engineering, aerospace engineering as a core curriculum in university. So, for me, a girl who always thought that airplanes was all about flying, I started growing this interest in airplanes itself, to the point where I actually wanted to know more than just flying. I wanted to learn the mechanics of an airplane. I wanted to actually know an airplane inside out. And that sort of got me into the engineering side of it, where I flew on the side to keep that passion going, because that's something I don't think I can ever stop. But it's the mechanics of it which really intrigued me. And I started asking people more questions, and as and when I started meeting more industry professionals, I would ask them a lot of questions, and I don't think I was ever shy to ask questions, regardless of whether it perceived a stupid question or a not so stupid question. Whatever it is, I always asked, and I was very fascinated and intrigued. And I think, one after the other, the path sort of revealed in front of me. And little did I know that a field like flight testing is where you can sort of combine your flying knowledge with the engineering knowledge. And I found this perfect blend in this field, and that sort of just led me to the path of getting into flight testing. And I would say I've also been blessed with mentors along the way, who've sort of guided me and, questioned me at certain instances where, okay, maybe you can do things this way. What do you think about this? Sort of that challenge and sort of, making you think, helped me get to this path. I would
Thanks for
say.
sharing your journey. I think not many people get an opportunity to make their passion into their paycheck. So I think that's really nice to see that.
Thank you.
So you also mentioned that you didn't have many people around your circle who were into this field. Uh,
Right.
and as a child, typically what would happen is that you tend to keep switching your interests as well. So you watch a movie and you get motivated by that, and then you say, "Yeah, I'm going to become, I'm going to take up that profession," and so on and so forth. So
Right.
how did you keep your motivation levels on to say that, yeah, this was the field that I've chosen, this is what I'm going to continue come what may?
Yeah, I'll tell you. I think for me, I've been blessed in the sense that I don't think I chose aviation, but rather aviation chose me.
Wow.
So and I don't think it's wrong to have a dream when you're at a very early age, but as and when you discover about yourself, that dream just you start developing more interest because you start getting more familiar with things around you.
Hmm.
So like I said,
Yes.
even for me, yes, I did stick to the aviation field, but I always wanted to become a pilot. But this dream of becoming a pilot actually took me to becoming a flight test engineer
Okay.
instead. So I would say it's more a path of self discovery
Hmm.
along the way, where there's nothing right or wrong. I don't believe that you make a right or a wrong choice. You just make a choice in life. And whether it works out or it doesn't work out, I think you learn either way. In life as you go. So for people out there, who confused or who don't know exactly what they want to do, or when they were little they wanted to do X and they
Yeah.
ended up doing Y,
Yeah.
I don't think it's wrong. you know like I said, it's about a way you discover yourself. And as and when you grow up, I'm sure that even now, I mean, flight test engineering was a career, a phase that I cherish. I have wonderful memories about it. But like you said, now after flight testing, I thought to myself, what next?
Hmm.
And that's sort of what led me into taking up a role in project management in
Hmm.
Emirates. So I don't think this is the end of the journey. I'm sure there's so much more to come. And as and when life progresses, you will just keep discovering more about yourself and doing different things.
True, true. Learning is a continuous process, and I think the
Absolutely.
more you challenge yourself at each stage is when you grow further as well.
Exactly.
So, Harita, what's been your biggest challenge and biggest reward in this profession that you've chosen?
I think in terms of challenge, yes, the initial few days about getting into a male dominated field
Hmm.
wasn't easy.
Hmm.
I'll even recount an incident that happened with me. I was a woman entering this absolutely male dominated field. I was probably just one woman in a group of, the ratio I would say is anywhere from 1 is to 10 or 1 is to 20 in some departments. Like in
Hmm.
flight testing as well, we were two women flight test engineers in a group of 50 plus people.
Wow.
So the ratio absolutely varies. So going back to this incident, I was an intern,
Ah.
and I had got a job at, one of the companies interning in aviation.
Ah.
And I remember as an intern, being a woman, it's not easy, because a lot of times people don't take you seriously.
Yeah.
And I did face that challenge initially where, one of my colleagues who had exactly the same position as me, except that he
Hmm.
was a full time permanent employee. And I was just interning in that position, in that department. Once he gave me a task saying that, what, you're an intern, why don't you handle this particular task, which was absolutely nothing related to the job
Okay.
that I
Hmm.
was
Hmm.
entrusted. It was, and I don't believe anything is a big or a small job,
Hmm.
but I'm there to learn. And that's when I wasn't shy to speak up my voice,
Hmm.
and to actually tell him what I felt. And I wasn't rude to him, but I was very firm in the
Hmm.
sense that this is what I've come for, this is what I want to do, and I have the absolute passion of learning
Hmm.
what I want to learn. And anyone who comes in the path of my passion, I don't take that very well. So, that day when I was really firm with him, I think he realized, and it sort of put him back in his place. And after that, until the end of my internship, he did not say anything. And I think, just, if you're passionate about something, your work speaks for itself. You don't have to prove yourself, or you don't have to be so loud about it. Passion speaks for itself. And I think that's what happened in my case, and at the end of the internship, right before graduating, I had actually got a job offer with this
Okay.
company that, as soon as you graduate, we would love to hire you. So, I mean, for me, that was one of the challenges, but there are always ways to overcome this challenge. You can never be afraid to speak up. And that's what I would humbly request all the women who are watching this, women or men, likewise. I don't think it's either way, but don't ever be shy or afraid to speak up your opinion or your voice, you know. And I think the other thing is, sometimes when you're so passionate about something, you set up such high expectations for yourself
Yeah.
that, when you don't achieve that, you feel like you have failed yourself.
True.
But this is something that I still sometimes find it hard to cope with. Honestly, I've come a long way, but I feel like now I've started embracing failure a lot better. So I don't think it's wrong to fail, because no one makes the perfect choices in life.
True. True.
People make choices, it works out sometimes, it doesn't work out other times, and it's fine, and that's part of life.
True.
So I think just knowing that failing is fine, and embracing failing is, it'll take you a long way, but it's of course very challenging
Yes.
in that sphere to accept it. In terms of the greatest reward, I would say, a day like today, where where people are so inspired by my story that they're actually reaching out to me to mentor, students, mentor other people who don't think they could be where they would wish to be. And I think it's not just me, but I would tell anyone who is in that position of, that shining beacon, where they can hold someone's hand and actually take them through that journey, only because some people, they don't believe in themselves as much.
True.
Sometimes it's just a matter of inculcating that thought in the opposite person, that you need to believe in yourself and you need to stand up for yourself.
True.
And if you have that in you, and if you see that potential in the opposite person, I think mentoring, coaching will go a very long way. And I think just having this opportunity today to speak in front of you, to speak in front of your viewers, is one of the greatest achievements.
There were some very valid inputs and advice. Very important to be assertive in your
Exactly.
communication. That's very important. And two is also not to be too self-critical, because we see
Absolutely.
that working with a lot of women professionals.
Mhm.
And if I were to compare myself with my women colleagues who were there earlier, right? So as men, even if we are 50% ready, we go ahead and say as if we are 100% ready, versus women, even if they are 90% ready, they still think saying, no, but I'm 10% not ready.
Exactly.
So,
And, I think it stems from the whole factor of self doubt.
yeah.
And, here I want to say something where this is something that helped me, I would say, in
Mm,
this journey of getting into, or I wouldn't say being successful, but
mm,
at least making my way, where, I didn't see myself as a woman entering
mm,
a male dominated field.
mm,
Because at the end of the day, it's about how you play it in your mind and what kind of energy you attract around you.
true.
So I just saw myself as another engineer or another pilot in
Mm,
this industry who's passionate to learn,
mm,
who's
mm,
passionate to understand what's out there. And the moment you switch yourself from thinking, oh, I'm a woman trying to make my way in this male dominated industry, versus I am another engineer, or I'm another pilot, or I'm another X in this
yeah,
field, I
yeah,
think it makes a huge difference, and that's sort of what helped me. And people start seeing you for who you are,
yeah.
passionate in this career, and not seeing you as a woman in a male dominated field, or as a male in a woman dominated field.
True.
So that I'm sure, that may help people as well, because
Yeah,
it has definitely helped
fact,
me.
I can relate to that because when I started Pink Ladder, that
Right.
was a question which I used to always get, saying, "But you're a man." So I said, "So what?" It's
Yes.
not about whether whether I'm a man or a woman. It's more to say to do with, do I believe in the cause and what difference can I make from my end, even it could be
Absolutely.
baby steps towards that. What can
Absolutely.
I do instead of saying that this is not right or that's not right. So that's absolutely true. So
Exactly.
Harita, what unique qualities or characteristics of yourself have you brought into your professional side, and you've seen success because of that? You've covered few aspects, but if you have to highlight something, what would that
I think I would say perseverance.
be?
In the face of, even when things were tough,
Mm,
I didn't give up. I'm not going to say things were rosy, even for me,
mm,
to start with.
mm,
I have come a long way in this journey, but, sometimes what happens is when a person faces a difficult situation, they give up right away. But I think perseverance would take you a long way. It's very unfortunate that, yes, as a woman, sometimes you have to prove yourself in this male dominated field. You have to go that extra mile. But I would also say that as women, we are blessed with a skill that we can multitask. So, why not make use of some of these skill sets that we hold naturally, and get involved in projects, get yourself involved in as much as possible, be passionate. And
mm.
at the end, people will see you for that. So I would say perseverance is what something that has really taken me a long way.
Okay, that's really nice. And your passion definitely speaks out. The way you're answering the situation, it totally says that you believe totally in what you're doing, and you just love that.
Yes.
So for young women who are probably in their school or colleges and trying to explore different career options which are out there, what would a typical work day look for a commercial pilot?
So now you have to ask me, which hat am I wearing? Am I
Yeah,
wearing a
so you
commercial pilot hat,
give a
flight test
commercial
engineer?
pilot first, and then a flight test engineer's hat.
Yeah. So I would say, let's go back even a step before.
Yeah.
As women, of course, you have a lot more responsibilities in your hands.
Mm,
You have to take care of the home, of the family, of your work. So you have to wear various hats. But I would say one of the things that has really helped me is to be fully dedicated to a certain thing and not to mix up two different roles at
mm,
once.
mm,
So when you're at home, be absolutely dedicated to your home and family. When
mm,
you're at work, be completely dedicated to your work.
mm.
And I would say start with that.
Okay.
Now, of course, as I said, flying is something that I did as a passion,
Mm,
but I got more into the flight test engineering role.
mm.
So, as a flight test engineer, I mean, the word typical itself doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Every day is a new day, every day is a new challenge, and you learn so much. But if you were to define activities in a
Mm,
structured way in flight testing, before we get on board on any test mission, we start off with, well before, like a day or two in advance, preparing for the test flight itself.
mm,
As a flight test engineer, we need to be absolutely aware of what the airplane's capabilities are, what the restrictions of the airplane are. We need to ensure the airplane has the right instrumentation on board, whether the maintenance has been done right, whether the airplane itself is ready, whether the crew is ready for that mission, whether it's safe to start that test mission itself.
mm,
Now, on the day of the flight test, what happens is we start something with a pre-flight briefing, where we end up briefing all the flight crew and all the other support engineers of
mm,
what their exact roles would be during that test mission itself.
mm,
And everyone's aware of the risks and hazards associated with the test. So we brief them of the risks, and everyone knows what the mitigation would be for those
mm,
risks.
mm,
So once the briefing is done, we step on board, and of course, when we're on board, before we start up the airplane, or even when we start up the airplane, we need to ensure that the airplane itself is healthy.
mm,
It's capable of doing a mission on that day. We end up flying the test mission profile. If everything is well, we come back, we land safely, and then we do what we call a post-flight briefing,
Okay.
where we actually brief about the results of the flight itself, of the test mission.
Okay.
So what could have been done better, what couldn't have been done better, whether the results were as expected or not. And that's it. We fill up some paperwork, the logbook, and that's the end of our day. But when I say it's not a typical day in flight testing, because every mission is different.
Okay.
There are some missions where you need to start bright and early, first thing in the morning, right at the sunrise. There are missions where you need to do night flying. There are
Okay.
missions where you need absolutely cold weather, hot
Mm.
weather,
Mm.
extreme crosswind conditions. So, every mission is different, and your day differs based on that.
Very interesting. Very interesting and exciting. So you had a lot of advice and insights for women, but if as a parting message you have to want to give one advice to budding women professionals, what would that be?
I would say, there's a few I want to start, and I
Sure.
actually want to start with saying that always believe in yourself.
Mm.
You know, um, i- no matter what your dreams are, don't succumb them. Don't doubt yourself, and don't start seeding this what if
Mm. Mm.
thought in you. Ask a lot of questions,
Mm.
because no questions are silly questions. And I see this more so an issue when you feel like you're the only one in this
Mm.
group, in
Mm.
a, a minority,
Yeah.
where what if the other person perceives me or judges me,
Mm.
but forget it. If what if that question was actually a valid question, which other people were thinking in that room. So I would say don't ever be shy of asking questions. And I also want to say that you sort of need to strike a fine balance between not being too dormant or shy, but at
Mm.
the same time don't be too pushy.
Mm.
And one thing uh, what I have done is, every person who walks in your life, every
Mm.
person you encounter, you learn a lesson from every single person.
Mm. Mm.
So don't take that away. It's nothing to do with the job title you hold. It
Mm.
could be I mean, a technician
Mm.
on the shop floor. It could be the CEO, your manager. It could be a mechanic. I mean, you learn from every single person. So always ask questions and never self-doubt. And I would also say, don't be afraid to dream big.
Mm.
you know because when you dream big, you start setting out your own path.
True.
And if you are starting at an early age, I would say, seek for mentors.
Mm.
I had a father the other day reach out to me for his two really little daughters, and he said, listen, it would be amazing for you to mentor my daughters.
Okay.
And when I asked his daughters what they want to do, they both said they want to do something in engineering.
Mm.
And obviously the father was really encouraging of that fact. So I
Mm.
would also have a humble request to the parents who are watching the show,
Mm.
that don't ever pre-decide a career path for your kids.
True.
Don't have a preconceived notion of any career, anything at all, but always support and encourage your kids. I would say expose them to as much as possible at a young age, so
Mm.
that when they're off age where they can decide, it'll actually make it easier for them to decide onto a career path of their
True.
choice.
True.
But don't shut options for them early on. And I would say this message even goes across to men who are making their way out in a women dominated field,
True. True.
where the same thing applies. Don't be shy, ask a lot of questions, and don't ever fear doing something out of the ordinary.
True, true. That's absolutely true. And what do you think would be the role of mentors and coaches in helping women, build a successful career or overcome obstacles?
I would say it's very important. I mean, if someone like me, where I don't regard myself as someone who has been highly successful or I've really reached a certain path, but if I can do it,
Mm.
coming from a background where I had absolutely no exposure to aviation, and I've set my own path, and I'm willing to coach and mentor young kids, because I know what it feels to be, a minority.
Mm.
I know what it takes to get to where I am today. So I would say the role of a mentor is extremely essential just because people have dreams, and if you want to make those dreams a reality, you need to show them that beacon of light and that ray of hope. And I think that's where mentors and coaches play an absolutely essential role in anyone's life.
Sure. Thanks, Harita. I had a wonderful conversation, very inspiring. Your passion is so contagious, and we're humbled that you considered our platform worthwhile to come and share your experiences as well. I'm sure you would have definitely inspired, and you will continue to inspire a lot more women to charter these uncharted territories, if you may call. And that'll be really nice to see more women representation in different careers as well. So thank you once again. It was a real pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. And the pleasure is mine, Dr. Karthik, for this
Thank
opportunity.
you.
Thank you so much. I would like to take this opportunity and thank a few people who've been a major source of inspiration in my life. As I mentioned in the interview as well, to begin, it's my parents who believed in my dreams and they've actually helped me make it a reality. My second mother, basically my mom that I've discovered after marriage, my husband's mom. She's a very strong personality and she's always taught me to believe in myself and actually stand up for who I am. Big credit for me doing this interview also goes to her. My husband, who has always given me his undivided support. And in fact, he's taught me that it's actually okay to fail in life and you can embrace failure gracefully. But he's been a big pillar of support in my life, I would say. My younger brother, from whom I've actually learned a lot, and he's lifted my spirits and cheered me up on my down days. And of course, all my teachers and my supervisors, from each one of whom I have learned something or the other that has helped me grow academically as well as professionally. So all of these people have helped shape the personality that I am today. And thank you, everyone.